A new report from the union that represents FBI agents provides firsthand accounts of how the government shutdown is not only affecting agents' lives at work and at home, but also the agency's basic operations. Among the impacts, undermining criminal and counterterrorism operations, delaying and complicating child trafficking investigations, and reducing informant cooperation. Joining us now, the president of the FBI Agents Association, Thomas O'Connor. Tom, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I want to underline something you all said in your statement, that for you, the fight for this funding is not political. It's a matter of completing our mission to protect this country from criminal and national security threats. So specifically, I outlined them kind of broadly. How are you being hampered? How are FBI agents being prevented from doing their jobs, or at least doing them well, because of this shutdown?
Good morning, and thank you for having me speak this morning. The budget that the FBI is operating under stopped being funded on December 21st. The FBI has thousands of investigations in criminal, counterterrorism, counterintelligence across the country and around the globe. As we do these investigations, we're using funds to forward these investigations, and the pot of money is not being replenished, so headquarters is having to do a lot of really hard and difficult work to spread those funds out to make the operations that we are doing as less impacted as they possibly can be. But as we go forward on this, we're seeing that there's no way to not impact our progress in our investigations.
Tom, obviously without giving details about any investigations, can you cite something specific where you are being hampered from doing your job, where your agents are being hampered from doing your job? There were some reports that an investigation into the MS-13 gang, for example, was being slowed by a lack of resources.
Well, as we go forward in this, generally all of our investigative efforts are going to be slowed as the money comes into or goes out to investigations, and that is for a myriad of investigative tools that we have. Our toolbox is not being replenished, so we don't have the ability to do a lot of the things that we're able to do on a normal operating basis. And every day this goes on, we're still spending money to do these investigations, but that money is not coming back into the FBI. We need to open the government. We need to fully fund the FBI so we can have the tools going forward. As we go on in this shutdown, the investigations and the challenges that are going to be presented to FBI agents on a daily basis are going to get more and more difficult. FBI agents will continue to do their job. We were doing the job before the shutdown. We're doing it during the shutdown. We'll do it after the shutdown. You've seen that in the past several days there have been some high-profile arrests. That's because FBI agents are the type of people who think outside the box, get the job done, and they will continue to do that. We have great support from our professional support employees who are also doing the same thing. They need to be paid for the work that they do, and we need to have the tools in our toolbox so that we can actually do our job to the best of our abilities.
So, Tom, it seems that a large portion of the public is unaware of the impediments that the shutdown presents to everyday workers, including FBI agents out in the street. So let me ask you, interpreters, people listening in to calls from overseas, translators, are they still on the job as fully as they were prior to the shutdown?
So there's an amount of, a small number of FBI agents and a small number of support employees, about 5,000 overall, that are furloughed and not able to come to work. And what these people do are a myriad of different jobs. The problem comes with the funding of the technology, the funding of the personnel is being spread thin, because every day that amount of money is being used, and the headquarters is again having to think outside that box as how are we going to use the money we have and get the job done in the best manner. So it is causing an effect.
So a call from Yemen this morning to Brooklyn this morning, it might be missed, whereas it might not have been missed 6 weeks ago.
I don't know that I don't have any facts as to what call takers and that type of thing, but you have to, I mean, it's common sense that we have an amount of money in our budget, we're using it, and it's not being replenished. So you're going to have to take funds from all around the FBI to get the job done. And as we go forward into the fourth week, it's going to get more and more difficult. It is getting more and more difficult.
Okay, so I'm working out of the Chicago Bureau, and I'm working with the Chicago Police Department gang unit, and I need buy money today, you know, to keep a source in the gangs on the payroll, to keep him talking. Can I get the buy money today?
So we're having a difficult time getting all of that done, and that the Voices from the Field is many of the members of the FBI Agents Association that wrote into us and built the Voices from the Field, because that's what it is. It's voices from the field, FBI agents on the street that are telling us where they're having these problems. And one of the problems that they're having is the day-to-day source payments, that type of stuff. It's not as easy to get that money to be done because there's only a certain amount of money for that, for our daily activities. So is it hurting us in that arena? Yes, it is hurting us in that arena.
Tom, Susan Page has a question for you. Susan?
Mr. O'Connor, you talked about how FBI agents have had to adjust how they operate because of the shutdown. Do FBI agents see any signs that criminals are adjusting their behavior because of those funding problems at the FBI? And organized crime or child traffickers or drug gangs, are they taking advantage of this situation?
I have no information on that, but I would hope that they should know. And if there's any of them watching today, FBI agents are going to continue to do the job that we were doing before the shutdown, because we're having the ability to think outside that box, get the job done to the best of our abilities. And we're going to continue to do that. Is it easy? Is it more challenging? Day by day, it is more challenging, and there are tools in our toolbox that we are no longer able to use. We're still going to go get the bad guys. We're still going to stop the terrorist attacks. We're going to make every effort to do that. It is just clear that without funding to the FBI, it is more difficult to do all of our tasks across the board.
Tom, an awful lot of members of Congress and the President of the United States sometimes watch this show. As we go here, what would be your message, a direct message speaking to them right now?
Open the government. Fund the FBI fully so we have all of the tools that we need to do our jobs to the best of our ability, and pay FBI employees, agents, and professional support employees for the jobs they're doing. FBI employees, FBI agents, and professional staff are working every single day and not receiving a paycheck. We are coming tomorrow will be the second paycheck that we're missing, and we're paid in 2-week increments, which means it's 1 month. And I had someone say to me the other day, you'll get paid, and that's we've been told that's true. But now I want you to ask the renter or the lease management, tell them that you're going to get paid and see how long that lasts. Everybody deserves to be paid for the work that they do in a timely manner so that they can pay their bills, pay for their children's medical issues, their family medical issues. FBI agents and support employees, our regular people, we have all the challenges in life that anyone else does, and everyone needs a paycheck to have financial security. And here at the FBI Agents Association, we truly believe that financial insecurity is a matter of national security. We need to have funds for our operations. We need to have all the tools that we can possibly have to do our jobs, and we need to be paid for that so that we can be financially secure, which is very important for national security.
Well said. Tom O'Connor, President of the FBI Agents Association. We appreciate what your members continue to do even without pay. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you very much.
Coming up on Morning Joe, has the president finally had enough of his attorney Rudy Giuliani? The AP's Jonathan Lemire joins us with some new reporting on that. Plus, much more on today's Senate votes to end the shutdown. Republican Cory Gardner telling the Denver Post he will break with the president and vote with Democrats to reopen the government without funding for a border wall. Morning Joe's coming right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.